All right, I will pass it over to Danny Morris from Berklee. We've been working with Danny for a really long time. Fantastic and a great friend of Moises. Take it away, Danny.
Hi, everybody. Since getting turned on to Moises, I've been using it in the classroom. I use it for shedding on my own, for learning. Back when I studied trumpet, we had Music -1 records. John, remember those? And, somewhat of a paradigm, but this is uber that. I'm in the performance division at Berklee since 1988. I've been training musicians, primarily bass players, on how to play music and also how to, once you leave school, how to procure work. And I'm happy to say that I'm most happy when I find out that they're successful and healthy people. But on top of that, many of them are working with from today's biggest stars to in their local communities contributing. And that makes us feel really great as educators. I know you could all relate to that. Since bringing Moises into the classroom, it's been a game changer in the aspect that I feel, and Sydney and I with Al Zero, had a nice discussion on this topic when you visited Boston, but I really feel like discovery is the teacher. So how can you steer, what path can you lead the student down so they can discover and imbibe information that's going to be usable tools? Moises allows me to do that beautifully. So I teach people how to understand music, how to understand songs. Sydney, I went right to your name and fell in love with the song. It's a song called Move. And this is what I would do in the classroom. We would open up a song and I'd listen to it. And you can imagine it's all bass players. And typically a musician, 6 bass players, 8 bass players in a room have a myopic approach. It's all bass, it's all bass. But I try to get students to allocate their mind and their creativity, as Candace was talking about, to hear everything from a bird's eye view. And the first thing that knocked me out, Sydney, was your voice. I've heard your voice before. It's wonderful.
Wow.
Also, your delivery of the lyrics. It's all about growth and seeing life through your own unique lens and to move ahead. And it's a beautiful lyric. And so what I did was I listened to the song. It's on Moises already. And then what I did was I took it to this. So I listened to Sydney's song, and for my bass players or for any musicians, I get them to understand the music like this. And Moises helps me to do that. The other thing that I do, since I'm working with bass players, instantly, before I play the song, I mute the bass part. Because what I want people to learn how to do is create bass parts. So if you hear a bass part, that blows the discovery. You're hearing someone else's creation. So for almost 40 years now, I've been teaching people and learning myself how to create bass parts. The first thing I like to do is map it out. Candace talked about that in how the sections in Moises, you could see the intro, the bridge, the pre-chorus, yada. So I use a very easy format, which is formerly known as the Nashville number system, and it puts the key center and the chords. And Sydney uses really nice chords here. I love how when the 4 chord sometimes goes to 2 minor and that accompanies like a poignant lyric, a touching lyric. It gets sensitive there. It's really the same chord, but the bass player has to play a different note. So I talk about these things. You talk about building a creative lexicon. That's what I try to do with students, and Moises helps me to do that. So David already showed you, you hit this sections tab and it's nice. And I can go anywhere in the song. Assuming we've listened to the song a couple of times with my students and I help them carve out different sections with the numbers, I might go ask someone, what section is appealing to you? Any salient points? And someone might talk about maybe there's a spot at this bridge here and we have the loop function. Let's see what this is. Okay, beautiful. So it's the chorus with a really nice fiddle solo. And in terms of salient points, I just want to go back here. So I like the basses in the rhythm section. We're all really in the rhythm section. But the bass in particular, I have a groove matrix, which needs to be understood. So Sydney, you had a nice percussion track along with your rhythm guitar, the acoustic guitar, and you have this boom, 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 ah. So I notated. What a nice environment to teach a little bit of reading and writing. The only way to learn how to read is to learn how to write. They work hand in hand. And then it's really cool. At one point, at the end of this bridge here, and the lyric is really poignant, you change the groove. And so that might appeal to the bass player changing up their part or not. It's a blank canvas. But again, so these are things I notate. We have that on the board. You know the sections, blah, blah, blah. I keep talking about the lyrics. When it goes to, so burn the ships. This is really nice. Now right here. So the pulse change. Instead of boom, that might or might not appeal to someone. So I bring that out. I just try to bring, Moises helps me so much bring things to the table. And in terms of creativity, there are multiple screens available to you on your desktop. And your brain should work that way too. And that's why it's worth keeping your brain healthy. And I talk to my students about that. And then you try it. I always happen to have a bass close by, as long as it's in tune. So let's see. If we go here, now Sydney takes
Nobody's
it.
stopping you. Dad isn't watching you. Make your
That's percussion. And it just makes it so much fun to do that with students, having Moises there to help me carve out the parts. And then with the sections app, although I don't go right to the sections app because that's a really wonderful thing for students to learn how to discover when playing songs. When's the bridge going to come up? In fact, your second verse is only 3 lines as opposed to the first verse is 4 lines. So when you write that up, did you know that? You know that. So all these things, they're like navigational tools. And the app helps me so much. All the students at Berklee are using it that I work with. There's not a one that eschews it. They love it. And I love it, and I think you'll love it. That's my spiel, as they say in New York City.
Danny, that was so much fun personally to watch you break down my song. So thanks for doing mine selfishly. And that was so helpful. Thank you for your perspective. You've seriously been so valuable in helping us understand this from the educator's lens. And again, that's what these conversations are all about. So thank you, Danny. It's really helpful.
Thanks, my pleasure.